my high school yearbook, I remember writing that my dreams from my aspirations for my life was to own my own plumbing company and to be able to, be an entrepreneur. So it's something I've dreamed about my whole life. I ended up choosing to go to a vocational high school where the high school actually had plumbing as one of the shop classes.
I met my husband when we were in high school, and he was at a trade school. I was actually at a trade school too, at a different trade school. We met through one of my family members.
I moved here in 98, I think is when I came here with my family, sophomore year of high school. I met them out after high school, just outside of high school. I was an assistant manager of an automotive garage right next door to where Leanne's father was a manager of the lube center and the car wash. I don't exactly recall how I ended up meeting them for the first time, whether it was me going next door to get my personal car washed while I was working on shift just to get it taken care of, or if it was me trying to arrange a deal for buying a package of car washes to kind of give as an incentive for my customers that had a big ticket repair, something like that. But I think that's how we ended up meeting. And then ultimately, I ended up hiring in all of his good employees, including himself, and brought him over to the company that I was working for at that time. And that is probably the only 6-month term that Daniel took on a hiatus from the plumbing industry. Was in the early days, about 20 years ago. Other than that, he's been a plumber his whole life.
We wanted to kind of make that transition out of being employees to entrepreneurship. We had a decision to make.
And anybody in any business to not know what they're doing, to get involved and fail. I knew if I did this, I wanted to do it one time. I wanted to do it right. And I never wanted to fail at anything. I like to win.
Dan is very detail oriented about what he does. He runs a very tight ship. I recall one time where he was at his other, before he had this company, before he was at that warehouse, he had another one that was smaller, but he was busting out the seams and the growth was happening right before us. And I remember him, come check out my shop, come look at my stuff. And so I've already utilized his skills before, but I never really got to get that personal aspect of going into his business. And so I went in there and he's like, look at my different trucks. And as I went into each truck, I noticed how detail oriented, everything had its spot and every truck was matched the same. The floors were clean, the inventory was put up. It's just the way that Dan runs his business.
It was just me and Dan in a truck, Dan answering the phones, me doing plumbing. He was kind of like my apprentice at that time almost, even though he was the master plumber. He had to schedule everything and answer the calls, so I had to just try to get through the calls as fast as possible so we keep going. And a lot of long hours, a lot of building the business. If somebody called at 6 o'clock at night with a leaking water heater, we were going to their house at 6 o'clock at night and getting the leaking water heater done. We had to build the business, get the name out there.
We sacrificed, we saved our money. We paid off debts to colleges and everything so we could invest every single dime that we had. We skipped vacations, we started cooking at home instead of going out for date nights, and we invested all of our spare time. We round tabled at the kitchen table.
It was a long road. It was difficult. We started with nothing and we saved our money. My wife and I sacrificed going out for dinner. We sacrificed our vacations. We saved every dollar that we had to put it into the hope that we could build a business that we could work for ourselves and live off of.
Really, the main thing we did to try to help the business grow is, I remember when we were slower, we didn't have calls, we would just stop and go door to door and hand out flyers. That was the big thing we did. We'd get flyers made up with like a 10% coupon or something like that, try to get our name out there. And we would stop off in neighborhoods and hand out flyers. Dan was in one neighborhood handing out a flyer and got stopped by a customer. It's like, hey, I got a faucet that needs us. We're there. And so again, it was just trying to get in the community, trying to get known. There's a lot of companies out here that have been in Frisco for a while. Everybody will throw tons of money at you if you provide them great service. You don't have to be the best plumber in the world. You just have to be the best service provider. If you are attentive to the detail that the customer is looking for, they will be your customer for life. You just have to provide them the service they're looking for. And again, we're here to help the customer. The money comes later on. It's all about the service. So that's I would say the biggest thing that we try to get everybody to understand.
Hi, I'm Daniel Zukowski, owner, founder, and responsible master plumber of Trident Plumbing.
My name is Leanne Zukowski. I am one of the owners at Trident Plumbing in Frisco, Texas.
I'm Brian Bruner. I'm the general manager of Trident Plumbing, and I've known the Zukowskis for close to 20 years.
The name is Skylar Simons. I'm one of the plumbing technicians over at Trident Plumbing, and I've been with them since day one, pretty much. First plumber Dan brought on.
My name's Rhett Capiello, and I've lived in the Little Elm area for roughly my entire life. And I've known Dan and Leanne with Trident Plumbing for roughly 5 years now.
Here at Trident Plumbing, we're a full service residential and commercial repair service company.